Hey, it's Nneka Mogbo, founder and managing director of Úrú Collective, and you're listening to Current Mind, the podcast where I document what it's like building an agency in vision from scratch. And to be honest, it's been a minute. Obviously, I'm sure you've noticed. The last episode I dropped was in March 2025, and life has been a lot since then. Today's episode is a little bit of an update, a little bit of a rant, and a few big lessons I've learned these past few months. So since March, the bulk of my time has gone into producing Afrobeats Intelligence, presented by OkayAfrica. We've recorded some incredible episodes with Lil J, Timaya, Tiwa Savage, Donna Wan, who manages Thames, and we crossed over 1 million views on YouTube. Joey Arkan, who's the show creator and host, and also a talent I manage, was featured on the spring 2025 digital cover of OkayAfrica, and that was a major moment. So it was, imagine like 3 months worth of producing a photo shoots, because we had two, along with coordinating guest bookings, production schedules, reviewing the footage, making sure the footage was, good enough to pass. Also creating new digital assets because it was, it's a new partnership, a new co-ownership of the podcast. And so everything sort of has to be new to represent both parties becoming one. And so it was a lot. But we just dropped rather, the episode with Tiwa Savage on Friday. So that was last week by the time you're listening to this. And then we also launched or dropped the spring 2025 cover of OkayAfrica featuring Joey Akan. And those were all major moments, like not just for Joey, not just for OkayAfrica, but for Uru itself, because I brokered this relationship, nurtured the strategy, and really oversaw the execution here in Lagos. We do have a team now, OkayAfrica is based in New York City, and so that is essentially our Lagos branch our New York branch of Afrobeats Intelligence. And so it was really beautiful putting together two teams to really make this show come together and to really produce this show. And what people don't see is how much energy it goes into bridging between, or managing that bridge between a creator and a platform, or between brands and integrity, between moments and legacy. It's really taught me that success, you can sign this big deal, you can, make all the promises on paper, but the success still requires stewardship. Visibility itself is great, but it's not passive whatsoever. It takes work, emotional labor, relationship building, deadlines, and trust. A whole lot of trust, because you're putting things that were previously fully in your hands into the hands of another, whether that's marketing, whether it's the look or feel of a show or the work and everything like that. And so it took a lot of trust on both sides, both from OkayAfrica, Joey, myself, and making sure that everything was not just pushed over the line, but it made sense to the vision and message that we were all trying to send, which is really archiving the stories of our Afrobeats legends and the great things that they've done, and really telling their stories through this platform. And personally, I just want to commend, Joey himself for really pushing this season. Like, a lot of the guest bookings came from relationships he's built over his time here in the music industry and in Lagos in particular. And so it was just really beautiful to see all the yeses for this season and even future seasons come along. And so yeah, kudos to him and OkayAfrica and our team here in Lagos, particularly with production. And we also have a PR lead. It was a lot. 'Cause you're, because we were, on ground and, like, doing sort of, like, the in-person physical grunt work, and also we record the episodes inside of my home, in my living room, funny enough. We record here, and so it takes a lot of, like, effort and a lot of, um a lot of effort and a lot of just, willingness to welcome people not just into your home, but to really, um just make space for the creativity and make space for all the cameras, all of the lights, et cetera, to be here and just sort of rolling with all of that. And so yeah, that month of March particularly and part of April was just full on like editing, recording, and then finally when we dropped the first episode, I think it was like May 8th or 9th or something. It was all worth it, and we still have some edits to go, trust me. We still have an episode dropping this Friday with Young John, and so, yeah, that itself will also take a level of focus to really, to put forward, so I just wanna commend especially our editors, our, videographer, his whole team, Uche and, Judo, yeah, thank you guys. Okay, so aside from the large what takes up the bulk of my time, producing an episode or sorry, producing a podcast, producing, work for talent, for his personal brand, I have also been learning lessons about, my own beliefs as well as crowdfunding. So around the same time of going into production for Afrobeats Intelligence, to now, June, right? I was doing a crowdfunding campaign. I'm sure you'll remember. I was doing a crowdfunding campaign, and at the time, it really took a lot out of me. I launched the campaign. We'd raised $300 so far, and I am incredibly grateful. But if I'm honest, I have been fighting my own limiting beliefs because there are days I didn't want to promote it, and there still are days. Like revamping the crowdfunding campaign at this stage is still something that is very, um, I don't want to say like, oh, it's magical, like, because it's not my truth. It's actually very frustrating. Frustrating because I have limiting beliefs within myself whereby I'm like, I'm usually able to figure things out for myself. I'm usually pretty resourceful. And I would say like the crowdfunding campaign is a version of being resourceful, but it doesn't feel like that internally. It feels like I'm asking for help for something that is, I mean, it's not a charity, right? And so that is sort of my frustration with myself. I'm sure like the reason why I haven't been promoting it as much, but I spoke to a friend a few days ago. We sat down, we made plans in terms of like what I could change differently, some things to really revamp the campaign and rethink sort of what's next for me. And I'm ready to go into that because it's like I have accountability, but I am speaking to you and I'm struggling. And I'm struggling with the idea of putting out, "Hey, I need help with this thing," you know? It's really hard. Um, and, in the midst of, like, restructuring, also I'm also restarting the campaign with some new funding tiers, everything from hiring an executive assistant to building out an office infrastructure. Like I shared earlier, we shot the entirety of this season's Afrobeats Intelligence presented by OkayAfrica in my home, and it was convenient and it wasn't convenient at the same time because you don't have a commute, but you're also like everything between your personal life, your professional life, everything is co-mingling. And it's not a room, right? It's in your living room, like, and it's an apartment, right? So it was very hard to sort of it was very hard to sort of like finish recording, or in the middle of recording you're like, okay, cool, everything's been set, production's sitting there, they have There are cameras on, the audio's going, everything. Okay, I'm just gonna go to my home office and just focus on what it is I'm doing on the like there's no separation, right? And so that's where the office infrastructure is coming in because I really need a physical space. And I'm praying by the end of 2025 that is a reality for me. Because I know that we can't build a new creative economy without real infrastructure or real structure, and that structure requires funding. I had to accept that, like, it's not the level of funding I need is not something I can just pass off to my clients, or I can't, like, I can't raise my because there's an industry standard for how much you're charging clientele, right, for your services or, your percentage and all of that stuff. And for where I'm trying to go, the infrastructure that I need, it's not something that can be passed off, right? And it's very hard to accept, but it's also like, okay, now that that's the reality, let's try to redo this crowdfunding campaign. And so the month of June or the rest of June, I'm not quite sure what it's going to look like. I do have some ideas in terms of how I'll promote and market it, but honestly, recording this podcast is the first effort in trying to, yeah, is the first effort in that. Um, but yeah, so there's that. I've also lately I felt really exhausted by the constant ask of the world around me. And maybe that's burnout or overstimulation, but it's, answer this email, fix this schedule, show up with grace, make it look effortless. Like it is very hard. And I was like ranting earlier about going to the gym and like being asked, like, oh, are you using this machine? And you're like literally on the machine. And I don't really want to share or alternate using it because that means we're not wiping down the space. And so I'm like swapping sweat with you, and I also like get acne easily. It's just I just feel like I feel like I'm really ranting on this, but I think I'm experiencing some or elements of burnout because I'm genuinely tired, and um simple asks don't feel simple, and I feel like that's sort of like the first sign, and I'm still figuring out like a lot of things, but figuring out how to deal with that burnout because it's not like I can say, "Oh, okay, like, I'm just gonna pass this work on over to so and so," because I don't it's just me. I'm a one-woman show, right? And so, from managing talents, leading production, handling operations, marketing, and still trying to build the thing. I've like tried listening to other successful talent managers to sort of ground myself and remind myself like, hey, here's the goal, here's the thing you want to do, here's the future, et cetera, right? But most of the people I look up to, they operate in a completely different system. The gender dynamics, the economics, even the creative culture is not it's not always relevant to what I'm building here in Nigeria. Not even not always, but rarely relevant to what I'm building here in Nigeria. Um, I, that means I often feel like I'm paving the ground or the road as I walk. Um, and I'm just finding myself exhausted. Um, and one of the biggest lessons has been sort of like learning to build an internal structure for myself. I've outsourced production, I'm building a local team, and I'm still searching for a creative or not even creative, sorry, an executive assistant, and a PR coordinator, just people who can truly support this vision. But again, it sort of goes back to the crowdfunding campaign. Like I can't outsource or hire for these positions because there's no capital for that. And the truth is, I don't have the capacity to train people from scratch. Like I'm already stretched, like I need people who understand that forethought and clarity are part of the job. And I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking for proactivity, looking for people who I don't have to be on top of. I feel like it's the bare minimum, but I just like I'm it feels weird it coming out of my mouth, but that's where I'm at. It's I'm just burnt out, and in this season, like I can't. I have so much that I need that I'm I just I just need the right people to help carry it. But it's like in order to have the right people, I need the capital, and so again, it goes back to the crowdfunding campaign. It's just wild, wild. Um. So, anyways, the podcast itself. So, what does all of this mean for Current Mind, right? For Current Mind, we're back. New bi-weekly episodes starting now. I'll be sharing more behind the scenes of Uru, my frustrations, and how I'm trying to make this thing sustainable. And no, I don't even remember my original show intro, but maybe that's okay. I don't remember the glitzy brand voice, all of that stuff concerning the show. I don't. Maybe I should have that cornered off somewhere, but I just don't. This is the new voice of the show. It's real, it's evolving, I'm evolving. It's literally current mind. It is what is rattling off in my head. And I'm glad you're here, and I hope that you continue rocking with me. And if you're new here, welcome. This is what it looks like to build something from the ground up with no map, but a very clear mission, no co-founder. And yeah. So if you can support the crowdfunding campaign, the link is in the show description. Share this episode, DM me if you've ever felt like you've been building something, literally cooking something in the dark. Like you know where the stove is, you know where all your no, yeah, you just know where the stove is, and you put the pot on the stove, and you're kind of hoping that um you can kind of sauce this and cut that and put that there, but you're literally kind of doing this blindfolded. But anyways, enough with analogies. I'm Nneka. This is Current Mind. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you soon.